This morning, we were talking to you about a new direction that we have for one of our products, a huge opportunity for everyone in this room. And I want to talk to you about this new and wonderful product. But first, let me just talk about our days, what we do during the day. You know, the morning we get up and we eat, we drink our shakes, we take our tablets, we work, we exercise, some of us more than others. Okay? But our bodies are very active during the day. We're very active. But what happens at night? Okay? So let's see. Let's get a little nighttime here. All right? A little nighttime. I think we can do better than that. How about a little moon and stars? Come on, get my clicker going here. There we go. Okay, so what do we do in the nighttime? Well, okay, we gotta be careful here. This is Las Vegas, isn't it? I better be careful. Okay, so normally at night, you know, we get ready for bed, we go to the bathroom, we freshen ourselves up, we brush our teeth, we find our teddy bear, then we go to bed, right? Well, not anymore. There's another thing you're going to do that everybody in the world is going to do before they go to sleep. We're going to take a little of our potion here. We're going to mix it up. And we're going to take a drink. And we're going to do this every night before we drink. Let's see what happens. You won't believe what happens inside your body by just doing that. Ladies and gentlemen, I am very honored and I'm lucky to be giving you Herbalife's newest product, Nightworks. So this product, and I'm not a scientist, and we're going to bring a scientist out here to explain it. And then Leslie and I are going to come out here and talk a little bit more about the opportunity of this. This creates the opportunity for nitric oxide in your body. Okay, there's compounds in here, there's product in here that is going to enhance the production of nitric oxide in your body. Now, nitric oxide is what our new Nobel Prize winning laureate is going to explain to you. But it is basically one of the fundamental molecules in your body. Without nitric oxide, you're on the wrong side of the grass. With nitric oxide, you live longer. Okay? So, I think someone said it the other day, we may have the fountain of youth right here. Okay? This could be our little fountain of youth in the marketplace. The beauty of this product, let me tell you a couple other things about it. No one else in the world has a product like this. No one else. It's exclusive, and it belongs to us, to Herbalife. Okay? Let me point out a few of the benefits of this product. Here's one of the biggest benefits. See that? That's Louis J. Ignarro. This product was created by Herbalife with Dr. Ignarro, who won the 1998 Nobel Prize for Medicine or Physiology. He belongs exclusively to Herbalife. He's Herbalife, okay? Not only does this product create the manufacture of nitric oxide in your system, we are going to be the first company to make a claim, a cancer claim. Some scientific evidence suggests that the consumption of antioxidants, vitamins may reduce the risk of certain forms of cancer. Nobody else in the world can say that. We are the first company, it was just allowed 2 weeks ago, the government allowed that claim to be made. We're the first company to put this on a product. You'll be the first people, the ability to sell a product with that claim on it. That's Herbalife. The last time a Nobel Prize winner got behind a nutritional product was in 1970. His name was Linus Pauling. And Linus Pauling was responsible for the advanced consumption, or the more consumption, of vitamin C. So in 1970, vitamin C consumption was under $100 million. This is the United States. Think about this on a worldwide basis. By the year 2000, it's $1 billion. Now, vitamin C wasn't exclusive to anyone. Okay? We don't have all of the things in here exclusively, but we have Dr. Ignarro exclusively. This is the vitamin C of the 21st century, right here. So I'm not going to try to explain all the science to you, because I'm going to bring someone up here who is an amazing man. And I want to show you a little bit about him before we do. So let's take a look at Dr. Lou Ignarro.
Well, my mom and dad are immigrants from Italy. My mom was born in Sicily. My dad was born in Naples. And they came over to this country, I guess, in the mid-1930s, independently. They met in Brooklyn. I guess they decided they loved each other, got married, and had me first in 1941, then my brother in 1943. The gift that both my mom and dad provided to both my brother and I was the motivation to study hard, the motivation to do our thing and become someone. Although I certainly enjoyed my chemistry and biology as a child, I enjoyed other things as well. I always liked sports. You'd always find me in front of a television watching the New York Yankees playing and the Brooklyn Dodgers and the New York Giants. And so when it became time to choose my profession, when I was in my early college years, I couldn't make up my mind whether or not I wanted to go into chemistry or biology versus racing cars. And I had I was pushed in the direction of chemistry and biology by my dad, who very strongly suggested that racing cars was not for me. It was not a good idea. And so I got the message, and I went into chemistry and biology, which I've been doing ever since. All of this, of course, I think played a key role in my success as a scientist. And it all paid off when the Nobel Prize in Physiology or Medicine was announced in 1998, because everybody was quite pleased.
Your discoveries concerning nitric oxide as a signaling molecule in the cardiovascular system opened new avenues for patient treatment and diagnosis of various diseases. Your discoveries lifted medical research into a new era. On behalf of the Nobel Assembly at Karolinska Institutet, I wish to convey to you our congratulations, and I now ask you to step forward to receive your Nobel Prizes from the hands of His Majesty the King.
Well, as you can imagine, receiving the Nobel Prize was a very special event for me, and this occurred on December 10th, 1998, when I received the Nobel Prize from the hands of His Majesty King Carl Gustav. One has to bow in front of the audience, and I could see many happy faces, but I think the happiest face that I could find out there was that of my wife. And it was so nice to be able to share this moment with her.
And I think for me, it was just an incredibly magic night and a magic week. It just seemed unreal.
The research that we've done, which has led to discoveries involving nitric oxide, really have to do with health and have to do with protection of the cardiovascular system against disease. That's what nitric oxide is all about. And we've done a lot of work to show that one does not have to take prescription drugs to be effective in treating cardiovascular disease. One can just engage in natural sorts of things, dietary supplements or nutritional supplements, exercise, diets that are low in fat, and so on. All of these things increase or enhance nitric oxide production in the body, and the more nitric oxide that is produced, the more protection you have against cardiovascular disease. And that's exactly what the Herbalife philosophy is, to take nutritional supplements and also to have a balanced diet, to involve exercise in your daily routine. And when all of this is done together, one is going to be generally in a much better state of health.
It's true. It's really exciting for us because it's what we really try to do. We exercise every day. We try to eat a balanced diet. And I think the nutrition supplements really make us feel better.
They make us feel much better, and it's nice to know that they not only make us feel better, but they're good for us because they afford all of this cardiovascular protection. And now what I'd like to see is all of you at Herbalife take this message to the tens of millions of people out there, and that will make my dream come true. I promise you that.
What I would like to do is, I'm a scientist. And so I think it's my responsibility here tonight to talk to you about the science of our new product, Niteworks, why nitric oxide is important and what is in the product. Now, guess what? Guess what? No more heart disease. This is the nitric oxide story, and I'm going to tell you some easy steps you can take to prevent cardiovascular disease. Now, I don't know if you know this or not, but cardiovascular disease is the #1 cause of morbidity and untimely death in the United States and throughout the world. #1 cause, much more than cancer or anything else you can think of. Cardiovascular disease is the #1 cause. And I think it's important to understand what we could do in order to reverse this process. You don't have to be one of these statistics. You absolutely don't have to be one of these statistics. And I think that by following some simple principles, you can see how easy it is and will be to prevent cardiovascular disease. One of the things you must always remember is that one of the best ways to prevent cardiovascular disease is to follow the basic principles of Herbalife's cellular nutrition program, where you can nourish all the cells in your body. And really what I want to explain to you is a whole new concept of how nitric oxide can help to nourish these cells. And about 20 years ago, we showed that this drug, nitroglycerin, I think you've heard of this drug, nitroglycerin. It is an explosive, but it doesn't work that way in the body. It's also a very useful drug for treating heart disease. And no one knew how it worked for 150 years until we finally figured out in my laboratory that it works by being converted to nitric oxide in the body. And so then we studied about the pharmacology of nitric oxide. And we made another discovery that our blood vessels and the rest of our body actually makes nitric oxide. And believe it or not, nitric oxide is also the signaling molecule or neurotransmitter that causes erectile function. And the reason this is important is because this study was directly responsible for Viagra. Well, this is the molecule of nitric oxide. We have one atom of nitrogen, the N, and one atom of oxygen, the O. That's it, NO. There's no simpler molecule in the body, and yet, despite the simplicity, this molecule of nitric oxide is the most widespread signaling molecule in the body. It's a very small molecule that enters the cells and allows the cells to talk to one another. Let's consider that the blood flow is on your left. This is an artery, okay? And so we're looking at a cross-section through the artery. So the blood's on your left. We have these cells in the middle, cell 1, which are called endothelial cells. And I want that to become a household word. And then we have cell 2 on the right, which is the muscle cells that control how wide or how narrow the blood vessels are. and they control the blood flow and the blood pressure. So if nitric oxide is made in the middle cell, which it is, it can diffuse to all other cells all around it to talk to those other cells and signal those other cells to do something. And you can have many molecules of nitric oxide generated by this endothelial cell in the middle and can go out and communicate with other cells. It's important that you appreciate that nitric oxide is important not only in the cardiovascular system, but also in the CNS, which means central nervous system, the brain. Also, it fights infection and it fights inflammation. It's important in the GI tract because, believe it or not, nitric oxide can prevent ulcers, and it can stimulate the movement of food throughout the gastrointestinal tract. Nitric oxide makes you breathe better. It's like it helps the airflow in the lungs. It's also important in controlling bladder function and, as I said before, erectile dysfunction. So this is what I mean by nitric oxide being a very a widespread signaling molecule. And the function of this, the reason for this, is to protect all of these different kinds of cells. If you understand why nitric oxide is important, you will totally understand what the value of our new product is, Niteworks, which, as you heard from Michael Johnson, really does work. And it works because there's a great scientific basis behind this. The nitric oxide that is generated by this product is a vasodilator. It lowers the blood pressure. That's a good thing. It improves blood flow and lowers the blood pressure. It also inhibits clotting. When blood clots in the brain, do you know what that's called? Stroke. Nitric oxide can prevent that. When the blood clots in the coronary arteries that feed the heart, what is that called? That's a heart attack or a myocardial infarction. Nitric oxide will prevent that. It also protects against coronary artery disease, plaque formation in the arteries, if you will. It can also protect against the complications of diabetes. So many people suffer from diabetes. And one of the functions of nitric oxide in the body is to protect against diabetes. Also, as I indicated previously, nitric oxide can protect against ulcers and, yes, even Alzheimer's disease. There is a lot of new evidence showing that nitric oxide can protect against Alzheimer's disease. And, of course, we always have to throw in the erectile dysfunction because although erectile dysfunction does not kill anybody, it affects 10% of the male population. 10%. You know, that means it also affects indirectly 10% of the female population, so to speak. So, you know, the cardiovascular disease is associated with a deficiency in nitric oxide. And so the disease process involves a decrease in the production of nitric oxide, an increase in the destruction of nitric oxide, and in general, a decrease in the action of nitric oxide. It's made mainly in the arteries, and it's produced by those cells I showed you in the center called the endothelial cells that line all the arteries. Now, let me show you a more scientific schematic. This is sort of an artery, and to your left is where the blood flows. You can see the red blood cells and the white blood cells. And in the middle are those endothelial cells that make nitric oxide, so that the nitric oxide can diffuse to the right side and regulate the blood vessels and regulate blood flow, and the nitric oxide can diffuse to the left and get into the blood and prevent the clotting of blood, protect against stroke and heart attacks. Now, a fact that you probably don't know, but should know. Endothelial cells. Guess how many endothelial cells we have in all of the blood vessels in the body? We have approximately 300 trillion endothelial cells. 300 trillion. Try to count to 300 trillion. Try to count to 1 million. Unbelievable. And when you consider that every one of those cells needs to be nourished, how can every one of those cells be nourished? What kind of molecule in the body can do this? Nitric oxide can do it because it is made by these cells and can rapidly go everywhere to talk to all of the other cells. Translated another way, if you took all your arteries and veins and you put them all in a straight line and measured how long they were, how long do you think that would be? Roughly 100,000 miles. That's a lot of blood vessels. That's a lot of plumbing. And it's important to keep that plumbing very, very healthy, and nitric oxide can do that. So these cells need to be healthy in order to make nitric oxide. If you have unhealthy endothelial cells, they're not going to make nitric oxide. What we've learned in the last few years is that the body's most potent way of stimulating nitric oxide formation in these endothelial cells is exercise. Would you believe that? Even mild exercise. And the reason is very simple. When you exercise, what happens to blood flow? It increases. So the blood is rushing through the arteries faster. When that blood rushes through those endothelial cells, it turns them on to make more nitric oxide. And that's why exercise is good for your health. You always hear that, but did you know the reason for that? The reason is nitric oxide. But in order for nitric oxide to be effective, it has to be produced continuously, and for that to happen, you need a healthy, functioning endothelium. Whenever there's endothelial damage, that's the beginning of the problems. What can cause endothelial damage? You've heard this before, maybe not in this context, but endothelial damage, severe endothelial damage, is caused by smoking, fatty diets, sedentary lifestyle, lack of exercise. Also, very importantly, for those of you who have high blood pressure, a persistent high blood pressure that is not being treated by drugs will lead absolutely to damage to your endothelial cells and markedly increase your incidence and probability of developing stroke, heart attack, and coronary artery disease. Ask any of your physicians that question. So it's important to keep that in mind. So a normal healthy endothelium is required for continuous nitric oxide production and protection. And continuous NO production means no more heart disease. So what can you do to increase your production of nitric oxide? Is it difficult to do that? Is it easy to do that? Just say no. The NO can stand for nitric oxide, or just say no to smoking, to fatty diets, and to a sedentary lifestyle. Or you can say yes to low-fat, low-calorie diet, mild to moderate exercise. Start off with mild exercise first, and then gradually build up. Also, herbs and nutritional supplements, especially now that we have Nightworks. And that product will make you want to exercise even more. I promise you that. And I have some stories about that. So again, we're talking about Herbalife's cellular nutrition program for a healthier heart. Absolutely. So how can nitric oxide production and action be increased? I want to describe this little bit of science to you. And the reason I'm doing this is very simple. The product Nightworks has a lot of different ingredients in it. Okay, so because I really made a lot of discoveries around this and helped Herbalife to make this product, I think it's my responsibility to cover with you each of the major ingredients and tell you a little bit in the least scientific terms that I can what it does. So please bear with me, because it really is important. There's lots of arginine in this product. That's the main ingredient. Arginine is converted to nitric oxide in the body. When something is made in the body, it has to come from somewhere. Well, nitric oxide comes from arginine. There is another ingredient in the product, which we have in our bodies, called citrulline. And that's an interesting chemical, and I'll show you how it works in a minute. But when it gets into cells, it can be converted to arginine. So it actually is making more arginine so that you have more arginine to make more nitric oxide. And also antioxidants. You've heard a lot in the last couple of days about antioxidants like vitamin C and vitamin E. And I want to tell you how these antioxidants work. The last few years of research by so many different people have shown that these antioxidants work by protecting nitric oxide against destruction by oxidative stress. I think you know that oxidative stress is a bad thing. It can destroy cells in the body, and one of the main ways it does this is by destroying nitric oxide. Now, we don't have exercise in our product. It's hard to pack exercise into a powder. But the reason I bring exercise up is that in conjunction with Nightworks, if you were to engage in a mild to moderate exercise program, you would dramatically increase the benefits of the Nightworks. And I think you should try that. In fact, I challenge you to try that and let me know, if you feel a difference. Let me focus on arginine a little bit. You may not have heard about arginine, but you eat it every day. It's an amino acid. It's a building block of proteins, okay? And where is it found? It's found in meat, chicken, fish, nuts, cereals, milk, certain vegetables. It's found everywhere. And in the body, nitric oxide is produced from arginine. And in fact, as I told you, arginine is absolutely required for nitric oxide production. Now, even though you can get arginine from all of these things, you probably don't get sufficient amounts of arginine from your diet. I mean, to really get sufficient amounts to increase nitric oxide production like I'd like to see it increased, you'd probably have to eat a whole leg of a cow every day or a barrel of fish. That can be a problem. And so you should supplement your diet with arginine. And the same thing goes for citrulline, which is another amino acid. It's found together with arginine, but in much lesser amounts. That's why it's particularly important to supplement your diet with citrulline. And, of course, our Nightworks product contains both arginine and citrulline. And I've already told you how citrulline works by being converted to arginine, which makes more nitric oxide. We say in science that a picture is worth 1,000 words. Some of us say a picture is worth 1,000,000 words. And that's why I want to show you this schematic. But this shows you how arginine is converted to nitric oxide in the body. And it just so happens that there are two products formed in this reaction. One is nitric oxide, and the other is citrulline that I've been talking to. But I told you that citrulline is recycled to arginine. So watch what happens. When the citrulline is made, it goes back to form arginine, which thereby then forms more nitric oxide. And so you wind up with more nitric oxide being generated by your endothelial cells. Now, the antioxidants, I think many of you know all about these. Vitamin E, vitamin C. You probably have heard of coenzyme Q10 and alpha-lipoic acid. These are becoming very, very popular, and you can get these in supplemental forms. There are a variety of different kinds of antioxidants. And what are the sources? Well, I think you can get these antioxidants from fruits and vegetables, fish oils. Fish oils are very rich in antioxidants. Not meats, but rather fish. Also, did you know that dark chocolate had a lot of antioxidants? Not the light milk chocolate, unfortunately, which may taste better, but dark chocolate is rich in antioxidants, as is red wine. And I'm lucky because I love red wine, and I'm happy that it's loaded with antioxidants. Now, white wine tastes good too, but sorry, no antioxidants in white wine. If you don't like wine, I feel sorry for you, but if you don't like wine, you can switch to grape juice. Some products out there, like the real purple dark grape juices, are very rich in antioxidants. And a new discovery, did you ever eat a pomegranate? Did you have to throw away your shirt or blouse afterwards because you couldn't get the red stain out? I don't know how to eat those things. Usually it takes me 2 hours to crack one open and eat the seeds, and then my teeth are stained. But now a company came out with a pomegranate juice. So you just buy the juice. You still have to drink it carefully. I usually put a little apron on. But when you drink that pomegranate juice, it's loaded with antioxidants, even more than grape juice. So it's really nice to see all these different products being developed that are actually healthy for you. And the way the antioxidants work is to protect against the destruction of nitric oxide. And I want to show you that schematically, okay? And so this is going to be sort of a lesson in chemistry. But again, don't be turned off by the chemical symbols. Actually, this is fun to watch. At least I have fun making this PowerPoint presentation. Now, this is called superoxide. We can call this bad oxygen. The good oxygen is O2, but this stuff is not so good. And the reason it's not good is it can react with the good guy. The good guy is nitric oxide. And what happens, you see these two red dots? Well, we call them electrons in chemistry. And molecules don't like when they have just one free electron. They like to have two together. A pair makes it much more stable. So when these two find each other, they react with one another to share those electrons, and the result is a chemical reaction. In other words, you're making a new product here, and the result is making this new thing called ONOO. This is bad because it's taking away the nitric oxide. The bad oxygen is removing the nitric oxide and instead forming something that's not important, this ONOO, which some people refer to as, oh no. But, you know, you want to have your nitric oxide around. So, now, what do the antioxidants do? Think of the word, antioxidant. You know, science is really simple. It's a few facts, but 90% common sense, okay? Antioxidants means anti-oxygen. Okay, antioxidants fight the superoxide, get rid of that bad oxygen. So, based on what I just told you, what happens if you take away the bad oxygen? What's going to happen to the nitric oxide? It's going to increase in amount because you have less destruction. And that's how antioxidants work. And if we look at our old friend, again, this schematic, if we add antioxidants to this formula, not only is the citrulline increasing NO production from arginine, but the antioxidants also increasing NO by protecting the nitric oxide against that bad oxygen. And so the arginine and the citrulline are increasing NO, and the antioxidants are preserving all of that nitric oxide. And that's part of the Herbalife Cellular Nutrition Program to provide more nitric oxide to talk to more cells, thereby nourishing more cells. Now, let me tell you about a few personal experiences that I've had, and I think you can relate to some of these. First, you know, working on treadmills. I've been running on the treadmill or the track at UCLA, or sometimes the street, for the last few years. And before I started taking arginine and citrulline and antioxidant supplements, I was able to run at a fairly slow speed for probably a half hour, either at a level surface or maybe an 8% grade. But then just a couple of months after starting to take these supplements, and Nightworks was not available, you know, when I started taking this about a year and a half ago, so I had to buy all these capsules and do this and that and take all of that. The convenience of the powder did not exist back then. And what I noticed is that I was able to markedly increase my performance on the treadmill. For example, now, you know, I'm not getting younger. I mean, I know I look very young, but I'm actually getting older. And so now, after taking these supplements, I'm actually able to run, either walk fast or run at speeds of about 6 miles an hour at about a 12 or 14% grade for about 45 minutes, sometimes an hour. You should try that sometime. It's not easy. My wife is unbelievable. She's in great physical shape. Even before starting to take these supplements, she was doing very well on the treadmill. But again, a couple of months after taking this product, she noted the performance on the treadmill. And now, I mean, she can run at speeds of up to 7 or 7.5 miles an hour at a 15% grade. That's like this, on the treadmill for 45 minutes to an hour. Sometimes, you know, I have to go get her and pull her off the treadmill because we have to go home. But it's an amazing improvement. Also, I think that this combination of ingredients now in Nightworks helps you to sleep better for a variety of reasons. But I have less interruptions in my sleep, and everyone I know is experiencing the same thing. I think there's an increase in general well-being. You feel better when you take this product. You feel better about yourself. It motivates you to exercise a little bit more, to change your dietary habits, and so on. I also have quite a few friends with hypertension, not serious hypertension, but moderate hypertension. You know, blood pressures of about 140 over, let's say, 90. And literally within days, certainly a week or 10 days after taking this product, their blood pressures have come down to near normal or normal values of about 120 over 80. And that has been a consistent observation. And I don't know if you people have experienced that, but everyone I know has experienced that. And remember what I said, if you can keep your blood pressure down to normal, you will prevent developing cardiovascular disease later on. That's very important to remember. And also, I knew friends who were depressed because, you know, they were a little bit obese, they were not exercising, they just weren't happy. And then after taking the product, somehow I noticed that they lost a little bit of weight, they were smiling more, they had changed their dietary habits, I think there's just an increase in general well-being. That's what this product does. It makes you feel better about yourself, and you do things to change things that you don't like about yourself. And I think that's one excellent attribute to Nightworks. So I really think soon there'll be no more heart disease. I really, truly believe that. That's a winner, and here is another winner, Nightworks. You know, I can tell you, I'm so happy and proud to see Herbalife develop this wonderful product.